Thank you, everybody. I am thrilled to be here, and it's really interesting for me to be here as the CEO of Powerful Possibilities instead of being here as your brownie salesman. So this is really full circle for me, and I'm actually going to talk about this in my introduction, and I'm going to talk about full circle, and I'm going to talk about how it applies to mentoring, because mentoring is really my favorite topic in the whole entire world, and it's really what made me become an executive coach. So I always like to start with quotes. This is an unusual quote. I love music, I love quotes, love rock and roll. So teach your children well. Hold on to that thought because that will make sense in a little while. Just so you know, I have a PowerPoint. I will go off script. I will definitely ask for participation from the audience. I'm going to be pulling one of you up here later. This is your hour. I want you to make it fun. I want you to participate. I want you to really enjoy it. I'm going to go off script. Please go off script. Be comfortable. Mentoring is important. Participate. Have fun. Make this a great hour for everybody. So this is what we will cover. First, we're going to talk about from fried cheesecake bites to coaching. Why am I here? How am I here? Then we're going to talk about sponsors, coaches, and mentors and what the difference is, because there are real differences, so I want you to understand that. Then we're going to talk about what mentoring is and what mentoring isn't. It's extremely important to know that, because if you want to be a mentor, you want to be an effective mentor. We're going to talk about finding mentors naturally, because it's organic. I have mentored 1 million people. I've been mentored by 1 million people. I've never been in an actual formal mentoring program. So just because you don't have a formal mentoring program doesn't mean that mentoring is not available. That's extremely important to know. You can be a mentor and you can avail yourself of mentors. Building trust. If there is not trust, then there is not a mentorship. Trust is what everything is built on, especially in a mentoring relationship. It's really what everything's built on in general. It's why I sell you brownies. It's about trust. The tough stuff, crucial conversations and feedback. Mentoring, it's not for the faint of heart. If you're going to mentor, you're going to have tough conversations. It's like being a manager. There's no way to be a manager if you're not going to be able to have tough conversations. Can't be effective mentor if you're not going to be able to have the tough conversations. People need that. It's hard to do, but we're going to talk about that too. We're going to talk about accountability, because if you're going to be a mentor, it's not just a conversation. There's got to be some accountability attached to it. If it's not formal mentoring, there's got to be some structure. Accountability becomes the glue. Establishing the mentor relationship, I am going to pull one of you up in the audience, and I'm actually going to do a sample of how you turn a conversation into somewhat of a structured mentoring session. Then I'm going to do some mentoring modules, because that's what I do with my mentors. I like to make my mentor relationships count. So we work on specific things and specific goals. So we have some structure around our unstructured mentoring. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to you about what my mentoring tips are. So why and how do I stand in front of you here today? It's really about my passion for mentoring. Why do you ask, would any sane person 17 years into a very successful career in sales and marketing give it all up, spend their weekends and nights, and go back to school to get 3 certifications? My love of mentoring. I have mentored so many people, and I got to the end of the road, and when I finally realized what I loved about sales and marketing and what I loved about leading my team is I loved mentoring. I have mentored so many people in my career, and I've been mentored by so many people in my career. And it was my love of mentoring that made me decide after all of those years that I was going to give it up, go back to school, become a coach, and I was going to do it full time. So I have a really interesting story, but because it's kind of like the story that I'm going to tell today, because here my worlds are colliding. I am here at Red Robin, where I've always come before to sell you product, and I am here today not as your Love and Keisha's rep. I am here today as Joan from Powerful Possibilities Coaching, talk to you about mentoring. Well, last week, there are absolutely no coincidences in life. I was at Love and Keisha's Gourmet for the first time doing a lunch and learn under the Powerful Possibilities label. The reason I'm doing it is because I'm running out the door all the time doing these lunch and learns. And they finally said to me, you know, charity starts at home. Maybe you'd like to do a lunch and learn for us. And I'm thinking, you know, it's one thing to do a lunch and learn for strangers. Not that any of you are really strangers, I know you all. But it's another thing to do it in your own backyard. So I've been avoiding doing a lunch and learn or anything that had to do coaching in my own corporate office. I'm especially avoiding it because, as you all know, all my family members are there. So I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to do this. But I'm going to plan it really well. I'm going to do it on a day that my mother is off. I knew my brother was going to be in Arkansas, so I'm totally going to do that. And I know that it's not mandatory, so there is no way that my daughter is going to come because she doesn't do anything that's not mandatory. Okay, so luck would have it. My mother switches her day off. Trip to Arkansas is canceled, and my daughter is sitting in the front row with a pad and paper. So I'm like, seriously? But I have to go on. So I'm standing in front of the room, and I'm doing my lunch and learn, and I always ask for audience participation, because I'm going to ask you guys for audience participation. And every single time I ask for participation, the kid raised her hand. And you know, after a while, it's getting ridiculous. So I finally had to say, all right, enough already, we understand. But I'm beaming inside because something dawned on me. The kid was listening. All of these years, the kid was listening. Now, for those of you who know me, I have mentored 1 million people. And my heart and my line is always open. If I mentor you, my mentors know you can call me any day. I'm a text message away. I am a phone call away. I'm an emergency signal away. Send me a smoke signal. If you don't call me, I'm going to find you. But my kids were raised on a backdrop of mentoring conversations. What I did not realize is they were listening. Who knew? So for every pot of spaghetti that I stirred while I talked one of you off the ledge, for every term paper that I was correcting while also doing a resume, and for every mock interview that I was conducting while making a papier-mâché volcano, my kids were taking in that information. I just never realized. Now here's the cool thing. Mentoring is about full circle because I was raised on a backdrop of mentoring conversations because my mother, as we all know, was one of the industry icons who went into business long before many women even worked. So I was raised on a backdrop of mentoring conversations. My kids were raised on a backdrop of mentoring conversations. And here I am today, standing in front of you, changing my career. It's all about mentoring. So I ask you the question, why is this story so important? Doesn't mentoring start in early childhood? Isn't mentoring crucial to personal development and building confidence? Aren't these two elements vital to everybody's success? So I ask you the question, everybody dig deep. Who were your childhood mentors? Who helped shape your career? Can you guys remember? And more importantly, who have you helped influence and push up the corporate ladder? Can anybody answer that question? Have you been mentored? Have you paid it forward? Have you gone back out and have you helped form other people's lives? So, who were my early influencers? My mother. My mother was an early adopter. In the 70s, nobody worked. My mother worked. I was used to having a working mother. Work-life balance, I learned that there was not necessarily work-life balance, there was work-life choices. But I learned that. That's something I passed on to the people that I mentor. My grandfather, building personal boards. He was the consummate networker. My grandfather taught me that you needed to find the person that was the best at the career that you wanted, and you had to make them your friends because you needed to pick their brain. That I've learned from my grandfather. I have taught that to every person that I mentor. My grandmother, queen of non-judgment, she took in every single stray, and acceptance. I mean, I was writing a blog yesterday, and I'm writing this line because I'm on the plane, and people are trying to talk to me, and I'm like, don't let the noise-canceling headphones and the fact that I'm sleeping sway you. You are going to tell me your problems, and I'm going to listen. But that came from my grandmother, because that's what mentoring is. It's listening, and it's being selfless. My Aunt Phyllis, executive presence. That lady had style. She also taught me to fake it until you make it. Her biggest saying was, if you don't know how to play tennis, you needed to get the best outfit and learn how to hop over the net. That was great advice. And I've used that with many of the people that I mentor. This is good advice. This is something that I tell all the people that I mentor. Blue sky thinking, my brother. He made up the best games. And to this day, he's a great blue sky thinker. I'm an organizational development specialist. This makes a great partnership. My father, paying it forward. That is the single biggest element of mentoring. You will be mentored. You need to pay it forward. When I mentor somebody, they say to me, what do I need to do in return for being mentored? I say, you need to find somebody with a glint in their eyes, and you need to mentor them back. That's all I ask. Show up and do your homework and mentor back. It is something that we all have to do. So, full circle. I was very lucky. I was mentored by many people in my career. I've mentored many people back. At this point in my career, I don't have formal mentors, but I have a personal board of directors that is not for the faint of heart. I recommend that to everybody. It doesn't matter what part of your career is. Everybody needs advice. I'm going to talk about that more as we go along. But what is mentoring? It's about giving and taking. It's about caring and sharing. It's about listening and talking. But most importantly, it's about paying it forward. So I ask you, how and why do I stand in front of you today? Why did I give up my nights and weekends? Why did I give up my career of sales and marketing? It's very simple. It's my passion for mentoring. I get to do this all day long, and I couldn't be happier. So now let's begin. So what is the difference between mentoring, coaching, and sponsoring? Think of sponsors like gladiators. Sponsors are different than mentors. Sponsors are people that will go to bat for you. They will be the people that will unearth opportunities for you. They will be people that will find out that there might be a promotion that's going to come up in the office. They will research the requirements for you. They might even throw your name in the ring. Take this very seriously. If somebody is willing to go to bat for you, and somebody's willing to put their reputation on the line for you, this is nothing to be squandered. It's very important that you take this very seriously. They might even take a risk or two for you. They might even be somebody who will make an introduction to you. This might even be somebody in a networking situation. Great to find a gladiator if you go into a new networking situation and you don't know anybody. Maybe they're the person that's going to walk you around the room and introduce you. Maybe they're the person when you go to a new networking place that you have somebody, you don't know anybody for dinner. Maybe they're the person that they're going to invite you out. I have this thing that I do sometimes when I go to new networking dinners. We'll make a dinner reservation and we'll make 2 or 3 extra tables, and everybody has to go out and find a stray. We call it the invite the stray to dinner. It's a really fun thing to do. We've met some of the coolest people, but everybody needs somebody to go to bat for them and to take a risk. So do that. Take a risk for people. Be somebody's gladiator. Be somebody's sponsor. It doesn't have to be so formal, but pay it forward. Put yourself out. Introduce somebody to somebody. It doesn't necessarily have to be at work. It could be something personal, but try to do that. What are coaches? Coaches are different than mentors. It's obviously a formal relationship. So a coach will help you unearth your full potential. A coach will definitely research resources for you. They will share their resources with you. They will become your accountability partner. They will be a key member of your personal board. Hold on to that thought because it's different for a mentor. They are future-oriented. They will question your past, but they won't dwell on your past. They'll maybe look at it so they see how it shows up in how your life is right now, but they're definitely future-oriented. They're not past-oriented. They will definitely be your cheerleaders. They will be on the side of the ring. They will show up. They will be the ones rooting for you. They will share, but with permission. This is very different because when you choose a mentor is somebody who's going to share with you openly. You choose a mentor because you want to gain from their experience. You want them to share their experience out in the trenches. You want them to share the good. You want them to share the bad. A coach is not going to do that. It's about you. So a mentor, that's a really big distinction. They're going to share their tools. That's why you get a coach. Mentors. This is what we're here for. Your mentor is like your comrade in arms. They are going to share their personal stories. And as you get close with them, you're going to want them to share your personal stories. They will be your accountability partner. Everybody needs an accountability partner. Somebody that is going to make them show up, do the hard stuff, and is going to ask if they got it done. They can become a key member of your personal board. Now, I use that as a distinction because there are different types of mentor and mentee relationships. You know, over the years, when I would go to somebody who would mentor me, and maybe would be somebody that would be mentoring maybe from above, I wouldn't necessarily make them a member of my personal board. A member of your personal board is somebody that you more share with on a regular basis and almost is more of a peer at times. So you can make a decision as you're developing that relationship with them that you want to bring them into your inner circle, but you don't necessarily have to. It's not a prerequisite, and they may not want to be part of your personal circle. So that's really a decision. You know, the mentoring relationship is fluid. It can be as big and as small as you want it to be. So keep that in mind. It is definitely future-oriented. You're bringing a mentor in your life because you're dealing with your future. You want to be talking about things in the future, and you really don't want to dwell on the past. A mentor is somebody that wants to help get you to the next level. So we're going to talk a little bit more about what mentoring is and isn't, but we don't want to really dwell on what happened and what went wrong. We want to dwell on what we want to get accomplished. So they might question your past just to kind of see if it keeps showing up over and over and over again, but we don't want to live in the past. We want to live in the future. They will definitely be your cheerleader. They should be your cheerleader. They should be the ones that are trying to stand in the sideline and be there for you, cheering you on when things are good. They will share their tools with you. It's great when somebody's willing to share their tools. They don't have to share their tools with you, but a good mentor will. They will share their resources. That's another reason why you choose a mentor, is somebody that maybe has some resources that you don't have and is willing to share and to teach you something new. Now, here's a big distinction between a coach and between a mentor. A coach will try to unearth the solutions, but a mentor will actually offer you solutions. It's almost like, you know, a big sister where somebody who said, well, you know what, I did it this way that time, and this worked for you. There are no boundaries around it, and there are no rules around it. So the mentor relationship is really whatever you want it to be. So you really want them to offer solutions. It doesn't mean you have to take their advice, but they're able to give you that advice, and they should want to give you that advice. And they definitely will make suggestions, but keep in mind, they are suggestions. It is still your life. Just because they make a suggestion doesn't mean you have to take it. That's all part of, you know, take in what you want and leave what you don't want. But a good mentor will make suggestions. Now, before I move on to the next section, does anybody have any questions about the distinctions? I'm going to ask for main questions at the end before I go on. This distinctions between mentors, coaches, and gladiators. Okay. Perfect.
I have one.
Sure.
When you were looking to find a coach versus a mentor, what is the distinction in how you were kind of picking apart those people? So if you're looking for both, how do you determine who you would go for that mentor relationship and who you would go for that coaching relationship?
In a mentor relationship, I think usually you would go for somebody who's actually a part of the situation that you're in, because they would actually have more information about the actual situation that they can offer to you. A coach, in many ways, will do very well not to have the actual information and could be more like 360 looking in. Does that make sense, or do I need to clarify a little bit more? So they're almost more for a specific topic. Like they might be a transition coach, or they might be somebody who is an executive presence coach, or somebody that might be a, maybe an emerging leader coach. So they're more coaching on the topic as opposed to the situation, where a mentor might be within the actual scope of the job.
Makes sense.
Okay. Any other questions? That was a great question. Thank you. Okay. What mentoring is and mentoring isn't. And this is also very important. So, mentoring is reciprocal. I have gotten as much out of mentoring people as I have gotten out of being mentored. It's an extremely, extremely reciprocal relationship. The mentor should gain as much as the mentee. You will give what you get. Over the years, I have loved the notes that I've gotten for people that I've mentored years later. It's really wonderful to keep these relationships, to really see them grow, to see that something you've taught them has really affected them, to see somebody who is so uncomfortable grow, to see somebody that you've known when they're 20, when they call you that they've gotten married and had a baby. I mean, it's a really cool thing. So you might be giving of your time, but you will learn too. So it's really worthwhile, and understand that it is reciprocal. It might feel like you're giving more than you're getting in the beginning, but believe me, like things like Thanksgiving and the holidays, I love those times because you get all of these really awesome cards. So it's really cool. It's built on trust. It's all a matter of trust. I'll talk about that more. It is like a sacred bond. I mean, I always say that when people tell me something, by the time they finish the last sentence, I've already forgotten it. I have coached so many people in the industry. Nobody even knows that I'm coaching them. I could all be in the same room. I don't tell anybody anything. When you're mentoring somebody, don't tell people you're mentoring them unless they offer it up. Don't ever, ever, ever expose any information. It is a sacred bond. It's built on trust. They're trusting you. No matter what you do, do not ever break that secret. It's the most important rule of mentoring, trust. Fulfilling. You will both learn. It is win-win. My mentoring relationships are so fulfilling. Again, remember, I gave up my career. I started again at 50. It's nuts, but I have never been more fulfilled and never happier. It's fulfilling. Honest. This is really important. I say that about everything, but I think it's all really important. But, you know, we all want to please, and we all want to do well, and we all want to succeed. It's very tempting in a coaching relationship, in a mentoring relationship, in any relationship, to want to say that we succeeded. So we want to show up, and we want to be able to see, we got the deal, we got this, we did this, we completed our homework, and we might not have. There is no point in being in this relationship if you're not honest. So even if you weren't able to accomplish what you set out to accomplish, even if you got busy or something got in the way, show up anyway and be honest. You need to be able to be vulnerable within these relationships. It's important to be honest. If you can't be honest, then there's no point. So you're gonna have to step out of your comfort zone. You're gonna have to be a little bit vulnerable. It's gonna be a little bit scary, but this is a safe place. That's what the mentoring relationship's all about. And if you can get this down while you're in your mentoring relationship, it's gonna be really good practice for other places. It's gonna be practice for your managers. It's gonna be practice for other places in life. So learn how to be honest. Be honest with yourself, be honest in other places. That's what we're here to mentor. We're here to learn. We learn, we grow. Respectful. It's very important to respect your mentor. It's very important for the mentor to respect the mentee. If you have a meeting, show up on time. And what's my biggest rule of mentoring, and mentors will know this? If I give you a homework assignment, please do it. I give you homework assignments for a reason. I don't grade them. They don't have to be perfect. Again, it's like the honesty thing. I'd rather you do it not all so great and show up anyway. So if somebody gives you an assignment and somebody's going to give up their time, show up on time and do what you say that you're going to do. Follow through. It's really important, and it's really, really, really respectful. So goal-oriented. I'm going to say this a lot, but what gets measured gets done. I am a card-carrying goal person. I gave you all gold cards. I walk around with them in my pocketbook. What gets measured gets done. I have goals. I have goals upon goals upon goals. I've had them my whole life. I have a goal partner. I speak to her every other week. Write things down. Have goals. Make them measurable. Have goals with your mentor. It's not just a conversation. Make it goal-oriented and get something accomplished through your mentoring. Structured. Even though it's not a structured mentoring program, your mentoring sessions together should have some structure. Set specific times, places, and protocols for meetings. You might not have structure. That doesn't mean that your mentoring session doesn't have to have structure. Start at a specific time, send out an Outlook invitation, decide what the protocol is going to be, have a little mini agenda, and keep some structure around your appointment. Make your own structure, but have some structure. Don't just make it a conversation. Make it valuable. Make it meaningful. Make it count. This is a bond that you could form for life. Make it have some meaning. Outcome-oriented. I am about end games. I am about vision statements. I am about mission statements. Make sure that your mentoring session has an outcome. Why are you here? Why did you choose this mentor? Why do you want to work with this person? What do you want to get out of the relationship? Think about it. You might not know everything going in, but you chose this mentor, you chose them for a reason, they're giving of their time. At the end of the day, what do you hope to accomplish? When I choose mentors or people for my personal board, I sit down with them, I say, I am asking you to be on my board for this specific reason. This is what I hope to accomplish. Will you accept that challenge? Because usually when I ask them, it's a challenge, you know, but I ask them anyway. I have a specific reason. So have a specific goal in mind, have an outcome in mind. That's really good advice as well. Timeless. Always leave the door open. With my mentees, I like to say it, I mate for life. I have had the same group of mentees and mentors. I started out that they were my mentors. They're now my best friends. I've known them for 17 years. I've had people I've mentored. I started when they were in college. I have now met their husbands. I have now met their babies. You know, it's full circle. Sometimes I mentor them. Sometimes they go away. Sometimes I get an hysterical phone call. They come back. They come in. They come out. They're around. Just because you worked on an issue and just because it ended doesn't mean that it's over. They're cyclical. All relationships are cyclical. So end the relationship, leave the door open. That's the cool part when they really evolve, and that's where the meaning of the relationship really comes in, because that's where sometimes it goes from being a mentor-mentee relationship to becoming a friendship, and that's when you really become peer mentors. So that's a really cool thing to keep in mind too. And fun. There is gonna be laughter, there is gonna be tears, there's gonna be hard work, but as far as I'm concerned, everything should be fun. So leave room for some fun. Have some laughs, maybe go for some coffee, do something, but have fun in it. You gotta laugh at yourself. You cannot get the tough stuff done if you don't have a little fun and laughter. So laugh at yourself, laugh at each other, take it seriously, but don't take it too seriously that there isn't a little bit of laughter involved. So now let's talk about what mentoring isn't. Mentoring is not shooting the breeze. You are not buddies. You may become buddies, but make it a conversation that is constructive. We talked a little bit about that. Now, I like to use visuals. I have people that I have been best friends with that have actually wound up on my team and I've had to be their boss. I've had people that have really gotten into trouble that I've coached. And what I've said to them is that we have to have a boundary or a visual around how I'm going to do that. So I have two visuals that I use with them. If somebody is on my team and I have to be their boss, what I say to them at the end of the day is if I want to have a conversation, okay, I'm going to put my friend hat on now. And I'll actually make the visual. And at that point, I can cease from being their boss and then I can put on my friend hat. When I am working with people that perhaps I have a friendship with, I'll put my hair up. So people know when my hair's up, I'm serious, I'm working with you. But when my hair goes down, then I can be your friend. So if you're going to be working with somebody and a mentor, when you're shooting the breeze, hair can be down, you can have your friend hat on. But when you're being your mentor and you're being serious, you could do that. So, a complaint session. Walk away with construction active steps. If somebody has something that they're unhappy about and something that they might need to complain about in their session, that is appropriate for a mentor. But don't make the whole session about that. Vent about what's bothering you and then talk about constructive action steps about how you can fix the issue. So turn it from a complaint then session into a constructive session about how you can fix the issue. One-sided. Remember that a mentoring session is a little bit of both. So what you need to do is you need to make it reciprocal. There's going to be feedback. If you feel that the mentee is doing something wrong in the mentor session, you should feel comfortable telling them. But if for some reason that the mentor is doing something wrong in the session, perhaps they're not showing up on time, perhaps they're not following through, you need to be able to feel that you can give them feedback also. So understand that it's reciprocal and understand that it's not a one-sided relationship. So you need to set up that boundary in the beginning that you can be open to both giving each other feedback. That's how you grow and that's how you learn. So it is not a one-sided relationship. It's not to be taken lightly. This can be the formulation of a lifelong relationship, and it could influence careers. So it has to be taken seriously. When you're giving somebody advice, really think about the advice that you're giving them, and really think about the advice that you're taking in. It's an important relationship. Make sure that you're giving them advice that you would take yourself. So don't overstep your boundaries. So there's a little bit of boundary issue in there also, so it shouldn't be taken lightly. And it shouldn't be half-hearted. If you're going to be a mentor and you're going to take the time and you're going to make the commitment, put down the cell phone, turn away from the computer, and show up fully. Even if it's only for a half an hour, make the commitment and do that. It's only a small window of time, and everything will be there when you return. So if you're going to do it, then do it the right way. So, anybody have any questions about what mentoring is and what mentoring isn't? No? Feedback? Questions? Okay, move on. Finding mentors, naturally, it's organic. Mentors come in all shapes and sizes. This is important to keep in mind. When you don't have a formal mentoring program, you have to go out on your own and you have to find your own mentors. You know, I'm the executive vice president of Love and Keisha's. I'm the coach and I'm the head of HR. So naturally, everybody would want me to be their mentor. I can't be everybody's mentor. I can give everybody advice and my door is always open. So I do at times advise everybody in different ways. I want everybody in my office to have a mentoring experience. So I encourage them to match themselves up with different people in the office. There are peer mentors. There are all different mentors in shapes and sizes. So really, we're going to talk about thinking out of the box. So peers make fabulous mentors. Why do peers make fabulous mentors? Because they're going through the same things that you're going through. So you always think about mentors, you think about, okay, I need to go to somebody who's a level higher than me, but not necessarily. Maybe somebody who's on the same level as you that's having similar experiences can be a really good mentor for you. Maybe you could talk about similar things that you're going through on your level. Maybe you're in a different department. Maybe you can talk about the different experiences that you're going through trying to get to the next level. Maybe you want to talk about work-life balance. Maybe you want to talk about your workload. But there's always different experiences. So you have to think about mentoring in a different way and look at it from a different lens. It doesn't have to be the same traditional mentoring of somebody being, you know, a 20-year-old being mentored by a 40-year-old. That's naturally the lens that we all look at. So I want you all to try to look at it from a different lens. Mentoring up, down, and all around. Okay, so now I'm going to really open up your lens. There are people younger than you that know things that we don't know. I have very often been mentored by people that are younger than me. One of the other things that I do in my company is I'm very often called in an emergency to manage a department. I'm called in to manage a department maybe for a month or so while we're looking for somebody. Right now I'm managing IT. I don't know anything about IT. I know how to manage. I have had to call upon people that are half my age to answer questions about IT. they can manage me. So think out of the box of thinking about mentoring up, down, and around. So don't necessarily look at it as I have to find. Anybody in this room has information that you need. Think out of the box. Scare yourself. When I look for a mentor and I look for somebody in my personal board, I look for the scariest person who is going to give me the toughest amount of feedback in the world, and I ask them to mentor me. I have gotten some of the scariest advice. I have gotten some of the toughest feedback. I am so grateful to every member of my personal board who has given me crucial conversations, really hard information. In fact, if it wasn't for my personal board, I do not know how I would have gone through this transition. They were the ones that had these tough conversations. These are the ones that talked me off the ledge. These are the ones that reminded me that doing nothing wasn't a strategy. So scare yourself, reach. Don't be afraid to choose somebody that might give you really hard feedback. Don't find a mentor that's just going to say nice things to you, because then there's no part of having a mentor. So scare yourself a little bit. Pick somebody, pick a reach. Pick somebody that might give you tough feedback, that might give you some information that you don't necessarily love. Different situations call for different mentors. It's kind of like, having a great set of golf clubs. I love my personal board. For every shot, you're going to grab a different golf club. I don't want one mentor. I want a lot of mentors. I want to know that for every different shot in life that I'm going to take, I want to reach in. I'm going to say, you know what? Yep, I'm going to take that one. So get different mentors. We talked about thinking out of the box. Remember that everybody has something to share. Now, this one is the most interesting of all. It's social. I went into social media kicking and screaming. But you know what? I've started a whole business on social media. It's a conversation. I've gotten clients on social media. I've gotten mentors on social media. I've mentored people from social media. I've given advice on social media. I put articles up on social media. I blog on social media. It is a good place to give advice. It is a good place to find somebody. It is social. You can be part of the conversation. There are places to get this great mentoring information. It's out there. So the point of this whole dialogue is think of mentoring in a less traditional way. Think of everybody and everything as being a mentor. Don't necessarily think in a traditional way. I mean, I have a story of somebody who became my mentor that I met in a yoga class. We were spotting each other and didn't recognize each other. And it turns out that I was looking for somebody to help me do some of my writing. And I realized that she was the editor of a local newspaper and she was looking for work. And when we started to spot each other, we had the conversation, and now she's mentoring me around that, and I'm mentoring her on growing her business. So really think untraditionally. Don't think corporate. Think outside the box. And the most important thing is to ask. I'm going to tell a story later about my accountability partner, but just understand that people are flattered by being asked to help. So it seems really scary to ask somebody to be your mentor, or it seems really scary to be asked to be a mentor, but it's a great, great experience. So ask the question, ask for the help, ask somebody to be your mentor. And if it's not necessarily a mentor in a traditional state, then you're not asking them to do so much. You're asking them to enter your life, you're asking them to be part of your conversation, you're asking them to be part of your future developments, and you're asking them to be part of your story. And you're asking them to be part of their story. So ask the question, think out of the box, think untraditionally, be social, and look at mentoring in a completely, completely different lens. Yes?
So I think everyone in here is probably like, yes, I need a mentor, and the asking part is probably the scariest part for everyone. And I think you just said just ask them to be your mentor, but Have you found that that's the most like beneficial way to ask someone, or has it been something that's worked for you that's been successful in the past, like just asking someone to go to lunch? Like, how have you worked into that relationship? Because I think that's the awkward part.
I think for me, and I had mentioned this before, I will usually offer to buy the person a cup of coffee, and I will usually let them know the reason why I am asking to sit down with them. I said to somebody, I am looking to make this career change. I would like to confide in you. Would you be willing to sit down and talk to me? I will ask a person, this friend of mine who was spotting me, it was a little unusual because I'm standing on my head and she's holding my feet over my head. Oh, that's cool. You know, I really am looking for somebody to do, to do my papers. But you know what? She said yes. And we have coffee every week. So I think you need to have a specific reason and then you ask. So I think it's like everything else, and we'll talk about it with building trust. So I think you have to ask in a slow way. I think you have to have a reason. I think you have to be willing to reciprocate. And I think we talked before about having a goal and having the end game in mind. So I think if you go into it saying, this is my goal for getting a mentor. I want to get a mentor because I want to get executive presence. So then you go out to take it a step further and you say, who are the people that I've come across that I think really have great executive presence? You pick one or two, maybe one or two people. You know what? I've noticed that you really have a lot of executive presence. Would it be okay if I took you out for a cup of coffee and we talked about that? And then you talk about it and say, would you be willing to mentor me on that topic? That seems a little less scary because it's not like so broad saying, oh, hi, would you like to be my mentor? You're giving them a reason, you're giving them the why. They know that they can handle it, and then so you're kind of setting it up for them. So they kind of know what your expectations are. And when I do my practice setup, it talks a lot about the expectations. So was that helpful?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, good. Anybody else have any other questions about that? No, that was an excellent question. Thank you. Trust. The biggest part of mentoring, as we discussed, is trust. So trust takes years to build, seconds to break, and forever to repair. And I made a joke about that before, with the noise canceling headphones and closing your eyes and the fact that I'm sleeping deter you. People tell me things, and people tell me things for a reason. They tell me things because they can trust me, because they know by the time they've uttered the last word, I've forgotten it. Be that person. Let your mentors know, let your friends know that you are the person that they can trust. Because if there is not trust, there is not a mentoring relationship. It is what everything is based upon. People are going to tell you their secrets. They are going to tell you their ambition. They're going to tell you where they want to go. They're going to tell you where they've been. You need to not squander that trust. And once you break that trust, you cannot repair that relationship. So take it very, very, very seriously. How do you build trust? You build trust slowly. Keep in mind that both people are responsible for building the trust. When you work with your mentor, don't tell them everything about your life right away. If you make a new friend, do you sit down and tell them everything about yourself from the day that you met them? The answer is no. You go for a cup of coffee. Then maybe you go out to dinner. Slowly but surely, you trust them. And with each trust, the relationship forms a little bit deeper. So just because somebody becomes your mentor doesn't mean you have to tell them something right away. Trust them with something little, do it slowly, and then trust them with a little bit more. It will become more comfortable. It's kind of like the question that you asked. Like, you don't want to say to somebody, will you be my mentor, and then tell them your life story. That's really scary. So you want to do it slowly. You want to do it around a topic that they can handle, and you want to build the trust. build it carefully. Protect your secrets. Protect yourself. Protect them by not telling them too much right away. It goes both ways. You want to protect each other from giving somebody too much information. That's a lot of trust to give somebody right away. It's a lot of responsibility. That might be the reason why some people don't want to mentor right away, because they don't want to hold on to all that responsibility. So build it slowly. So I like to say, and this is my own quote, this isn't anybody, how is trust built? It's one confidence and one piece of good advice at a time. If you build it slowly, and you trust them, and then after a while they know they can trust you, and you give them a good piece of advice, and you go back into the field, and you use it, and it works, the trust and the bonds will happen naturally. So, the tough stuff, crucial conversations. So, as the head of HR, and as a coach, and as the EVP of a company, and as somebody who was in sales for years and who ran a department in sales, I have had a lot of crucial conversations. I don't like them. Nobody likes them. But the bottom line, and I will read this sentence verbatim, the conversations that you do not have are often more damaging than the conversations that you do have. I am going to repeat that. The conversations that you do not have are often more damaging than the conversations that you do have. If you are going to be a mentor, you cannot sugarcoat everything. You are not going to help people if you only tell them what they want to hear. If somebody is not doing something right, or somebody is doing something that's going to damage them, if you do not tell them, you can hurt them more than telling them. You've got to tell them. It's almost like the person who you don't tell all along that something is wrong, and then they're blindsided when things don't work out for them. So feel that you're doing the right thing by having those crucial conversations. They're difficult, but they're important. So crucial conversations, think of them as helping conversations, and don't think of them as damaging conversations. You're really being somebody's helper. Yes.
What is your best advice of giving the hard advice? So, I mean, is it you explain it? Do you make it quick? I mean, it's kind of like ripping off a Band-Aid, or do you go?
I'm going to give you a couple of ideas about how I do it, and I'm going to get into it right now. I'm going to go over in the slide. Do you want me to answer that question first, or what I like to do the best?
Yeah.
I personally, and love me, hate me, my friends, I'm a rip off the Band-Aid type of chick. That's the way I do it. People know that about me. I say it with a big smile on my face. If you do not want it ripped off like a Band-Aid, you don't hang out with me. I'm not your mentee. I'm not your coach. That's the way I like to do it. I think it's the most effective. I do it in the kindest of ways. I've gotten away with it. I've had some really tough conversations with some really tough people, and I've gotten some really good thank yous. But it's not for everybody. And I think the most important thing here is to know your audience. And I also have clients and people within my organization that I know I can't do that with. So what I would say is the rip off the Band-Aid, my favorite method, I am who I am. Tip the scales. The tip the scales method is when I'm preparing, I've got my positive information about the person and I've got my negative information about the person. I usually do the positive information first, then I rip off the Band-Aid. You know what? Some people need that, and that's okay. If I know somebody needs that, then that's part of being an effective mentor, and that's part of being an effective HR person, that's part of being an effective coach. It's sometimes part of being an effective mom, or human being, or friend, or whatever it is. You gotta know your audience. So that's also part of, getting your mentor muscle. The sandwich. I love the sandwich. The sandwich is tricky. The sandwich is positive, rip off the Band-Aid, And then for the faint of heart, you got to put some positive on top of it. That's the sandwich. People like the sandwich. I think the sandwich is silly, but again, this is not about me. This is about knowing your audience. So the sandwich is really, really quite effective. The visual. I love the visual. The visual is like kind of gets back to the friend hat. You know, I have done this when I've been in reviews where I've said to somebody, you know, we all know how great you are at your job. But we're going to put this aside for right now, where I'll put the review on the side, to talk about some issues we've been having. It's a visual. It's kind of like, you know, the positive, negative, but it's a visual. I love analogies. You know, well, things have been really, really, really good lately. However, there's a million different ways to do it. Personal examples. You know, been in business a long time. I've made a lot of mistakes. I've got a lot of battle scars. The best way to diffuse and have a crucial conversation is to fess up to something that you've done equally as negative. And I have no issue doing it. I have no issue at this point of my career and in my life being vulnerable. I've got my battle scars. I have no issue sharing it with people. And I've done this, I always will do this in my mentoring situations. I will definitely do it in my situations within my organization. I mean, some of them have witnessed some of the mistakes, so it's easier to be vulnerable in that way. And I will actually do it within a coaching conversation, and I'll let my client know that I will give you an example from my life because I think it will help you. Because honestly, there's no point in having life experiences if you don't share it with people. If somebody can learn from something I did wrong, then hell, why not? So, Emily, does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, anybody else have any ways that they have dealt with giving tough? No? Any other questions about giving tough advice? Okay, should we move on? Okay. My favorite, accountability. As I said, I am a goal nerd. I am the keeper of the matrix and all goals for my company. I love making people accountable. I've actually said this before. What gets measured gets done. As I said, I am a card-carrying goal person. I walk around with my goals all day long. I am going to tell a tale about my accountability partner because it really brings in a lot of things that we've talked about scaring yourself, about organic, mentoring and where you find them, and about the importance of having an accountability partner at no matter what level you're at. About a year ago, when I first became a coach and I first started to do public speaking at different speaking engagements, I was doing a workshop on transition to transformation, which was the topic of what I was going through at the time because I was going through the transition from being the VP of sales and marketing to actually being a coach. And at the time, because I was in school and because I was setting up my business and because I was still working full time, I had a lot of things that I had to accomplish. So I'm balancing all of these things. I'm getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to study. I'm going to school on the weekends and at night. I'm doing my website. I'm setting up my collateral material, and I'm also working full time. So I've got a lot of stuff that I have to get done at the time. I'm also showing up to do a lot of lunch and learns because I'm trying to get my name out there as a speaker. So I'm in the audience, and I'm doing this whole talk about transition, and the one thing I say is it's really, really important when you're going through transition to have an accountability partner. And of course, I don't have an accountability partner because I can't ask for an accountability partner because I'm the person talking about having an accountability partner, and I can't admit that I don't have an accountability partner, but God, I needed an accountability partner. So there's a girl in the audience, and I was really impressed with her. And she had very similar goals to me. She's writing a book, which is something I want to do. She did a TED Talk, which is something I think would be so cool to do. I mean, I don't know if that'll ever happen, but it's very cool. And she really is doing a lot of stuff around social media. She was just launching her website. She was just finishing up her doctorate. Oh, if I ever do that, my family will kill me, but I probably will. So she was a really cool lady, and I'm thinking, God, I really would like her to be my accountability partner. Can I ask her? Or is she going to think I'm crazy? So of course, I'm thinking, you know what? I preach about asking, so I'm going to go out there. And she comes over and she goes, you know, I really like your talk. She says, you know, I really could use an accountability partner. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to do it. And I said, well, I could too. Would you like to be my accountability partner? I felt like I was in high school, you know, I did it anyway. And she said, really? I said, yeah, no, I really need an accountability partner. She said, yeah, no, I really could use one too. So this girl and I have every single week for the entire year, every single Monday, we send each other our list of goals, and they are lofty. And every single Friday at 4 o'clock, we get on the phone with each other and we fess up, did we do it and did we not do it? And we meet with each other once a month and we sit down face to face and we have a conversation. And there are times that we just hit the end of the road and neither one of us can get out of bed. Those are the weeks that we have to text each other to say that we actually got out of bed, you know, because we hit the ends of the road. But this is the most valuable relationship right now. It's the biggest tool in my toolbox. And the cool part about it is that, so here I am, it's all the things I'm talking about. If I did not have the guts to ask, if I would not be willing enough to be vulnerable, if I did not think out of the box, and if I did not reach, because I'm sitting and saying, how would this woman who did a TED Talk, who's writing a book, want to be my accountability partner? And she's sitting there saying, well, why would this woman in the front of the room who's giving the lecture want to be my accountability partner? So she was scared to ask me. I was scared to ask her, but we did it. And the cool thing is it's our 1-year anniversary this week. So we're going to a show on Tuesday, and we're not going to talk about anything. We're just going to go and have some fun. So, and I talked about that too, that I said at the end of the day, you do the hard work, but then you have fun. So the accountability is the glue that holds it all together, but the mentoring, it comes in all sizes. It comes in all shapes. Don't be scared. Ask. Put yourself out there. I don't care what level you are. I don't care if you're sitting in the back of the room. I don't care if you're standing in the front of the room. Everybody needs help. Everybody needs to reach. Everybody needs to ask. And everybody has topics that they could use help around. So you don't need one. Maybe you need 5 of them. And maybe, back to your question, if you need 5 of them, maybe it's not so hard to ask because maybe you're not asking so much. If you're just asking one person to help you around one topic. So just food for thought. So bringing it full circle, what distinguishes meaningful mentoring from just another conversation? So, heart. If you are a mentor, gotta have heart. It's got to come from the heart. It's an emotional relationship. Put some heart behind it. It's about dedication. If you are not dedicated, you can't be a mentor. You gotta be dedicated to your mentees, and your mentees in return have to be dedicated to you. It's important. Depth. It's not a light relationship. It's deep. It's as deep as you want to make it, but if you want to be fulfilled, gotta make it deep. Experience. Share your experience. I don't care if it's experience up. I don't care if it's experience down. We all have experience. We all have something to share. We all have something to give. Commitment. It's a commitment. I know it's a commitment, but it's a commitment that's worth making. Because if you give and you make the commitment, you are going to get just as much out of it as the people that you mentor. It's a win-win situation. It is not just about the mentee. It's about the mentee and the mentor. It is about caring. You will learn to really care about your mentee. For every person that I have mentored, I deeply care about them. I care about their welfare. I care about what happens. They're all in my life, as I say. I met my mate for life. My mentors, they all hang around. They never go anywhere. It is about trust. Sacred bonds. If you have a secret and somebody tells you something, don't squander that trust. It's about results. You're not in it just to have a conversation. You got to have results. You're not just there to shoot the breeze. You're not just there to chat every Friday. You want to get results. What is your end game? Why did you ask this person to take the time to talk to you every week? What's the end game? What are the results? Tears. It's going to get emotional. It's going to get emotional. So don't be afraid of them. And make it fun. And there's going to be some laughter. There should be laughter. The tough stuff is hard. You know, we talked about crucial conversations, and we talked about trust. We talked about accountability. We talked about end games, and we talked about emotion. But at the end of the day, you got to have fun. You got to laugh at yourself. You got to laugh with each other. You've got to laugh at the situations. I laugh at everything. My mentors and I, we laugh at all situations. So as serious as it is, lighten it up in the end. Celebrate. I told you the story of me and my accountability partner. I love my accountability partner. I am so excited to go out with her after a year of getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, launching websites, doing all these crazy things that we did. I am so excited to just sit back and chill and see a show. I mean, it's a real treat. This is going to be fun. We earned it. So work hard and then have some fun at the end. So bringing it full circle. What distinguishes meaningful mentoring from just another conversation? It's going back. Okay, so now I'm going to call somebody in from the audience, and we are going to do a little mini mentoring setup session. So before we do this, does anybody have any questions? Good. Okay. So thank you, Ms. Volunteer. Don't be nervous. So if you noticed, is this good? Okay. So if you notice when you came in, on your seats, we had a little bit of a packet that was a setup if you were to have a mentorship. Because even though it's going to be an unstructured mentor session, we thought it would be really good for everybody to be able to see what it was like to set up a session if they wanted to have just like a little mentoring session. So the first thing that I do with any mentoring session is I try to set up the expectations. So we're going to go through a little exercise that I always do when I'm either working with a client or working with a mentee. So the first thing that I'm going to ask you is, what are your expectations of me in the mentoring relationship? What would you like to get out of the mentoring relationship?
I'd like to have regular contact, maybe at least once a week.
Okay, that's fine. What else?
Staying focused and using our time effectively during our meetings.
Okay,
Getting honest feedback.
okay,
And just keeping your commitments.
okay. Okay. Now, where would you like to have the contact with me? Like once a week? Would you like to have the contact in person, or would you like to have the contact on the phone?
What about Skype?
Skype would work great. And how long would you like us to have these conversations for?
45 minutes.
Okay, that works. And how would you like to give you that feedback? Because we talked about that a little bit. Like, how do you like to receive your feedback?
I like to kind of hear the positive first, and then get some areas of opportunities, and then maybe positive again.
Okay, so you kind of like the sandwich. So you
Yeah.
like a little bit of positive, you like a little negative, and then you like a little bit of positive.
Yeah, and on the positive.
Is that something you think maybe you'd like to be able to work with, to be able to maybe accept a little bit of negative feedback without having to sandwich it around the positive?
Definitely, yeah. That's
Okay.
something I've been working on, but
Okay.
need more courage to do.
Okay, so maybe handling negative feedback. That makes sense. Okay. Now, what about keeping commitments? Has people not been able to keep commitments with you before? Is that something that because you pointed that out?
Yeah, so a lot of people I've helped or tried to work with, they just don't follow through
Okay.
on things.
Okay. So what would be a signal for you that I wasn't following through?
Like for me to let you know that you're not following
Yeah.
through.
Yeah.
Just, if we say you're gonna do something,
Mhm.
just do it. If not, I can just let you know, or I don't want to have to follow up like 10 times. Hey, did you do that?
Okay.
Just knowing that I can rely on you.
Okay, so you want to just feel that you can rely on me.
Yeah.
So you want to feel that if I'm doing something wrong, that you feel comfortable giving me that kind of feedback.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, and just so you know, I'm completely comfortable with you ripping off that Band-Aid.
Okay.
Okay, so if I'm doing something wrong, don't sugarcoat it, just tell me.
Okay.
We're
rip
good
off
with
the
that?
Band-Aid, yep.
Okay, cool. So you can rip off the Band-Aid with me, that's cool. Okay. Now, you want it for 45 minutes. Now, what if I was to tell you that one week I didn't have 45 minutes and I can only give you 30? How would you feel about that?
That would be okay. I think we could accomplish a lot in 30 as long as we stayed focused.
Okay. So if we did 30 minutes or 45 minutes, so we're going to compromise on that. That was a good compromise, because sometimes I think every week, or maybe, how about if we were to do 30 minutes one week and 45 minutes the other week? How would you feel
Yes.
about that?
I like that idea.
Cool. I think that's a really good compromise. Okay, so that's every other week. I like that. Okay. So now that we're talking a little bit more, are there any other expectations of me that you think you might have thought of now that we're kind of getting into the conversation?
Just making it a space that we can both feel comfortable
Okay.
to
Safe
share
space.
our feelings.
Okay.
And just providing me with feedback. you know.
Okay. So I see the feedback came up a lot. So hold on to that, because when we get to the goal setting, I think that might be something that we really want to set a goal upon.
Okay.
Okay, so cool. So let's hold on to the feedback. Okay, so what are my expectations of you? My expectations of you are that you show up fully. Okay, so what I mean by showing up fully is that when you're here, that you clear the stuff that's going on for the day.
Okay.
Okay? And I want you to be able to show up, and I want you to, if you have something to vent about, I'm completely fine with that. The venting is great, but I want you to be able to come here willing to come up with meaningful, constructive ways to diffuse whatever's going on.
Okay.
Okay? I want you to really think about what you want to get out of the mentoring session. Okay? So I'm going to give you a homework assignment.
Okay.
Okay, so what your homework assignment is going to be is to come up with 3 things that you really want to get out of the mentoring session.
Okay.
Okay? And what I say is that my biggest expectation of my mentees is that if I give you a homework assignment, that you do it.
Yes.
Okay, because that's really important to me.
Yes.
Okay. I expect you to be very, very, very honest with me. Okay? And if for some reason, something goes wrong and you feel uncomfortable, I want you to be able to feel comfortable that you can tell me that something went wrong and that you don't have to like sugarcoat it and pretend that, everything is going right with you.
Okay.
Okay? Yeah. I want you to show up on time, because that's important to me.
Yes, me too.
Okay, and I really would appreciate it if you have to cancel, that you could just give me, at least an hour in advance unless it's an emergency.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay, good, excellent. So anything else you can think of?
I don't think so. That sounds good to me.
Okay, good, good. So how does it feel now? Do you feel more comfortable with the relationship now that we've set these expectations for each other?
Yeah, I do feel a lot more comfortable.
Good, good. Did you feel uncomfortable when you first came in, not knowing what to expect?
I did, yeah.
And now?
Yeah, I feel more comfortable knowing,
Okay.
That it's a safe environment and I can just rip off the Band-Aid with you.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Okay, so now that we have established the expectations, what I'd like to do is I'd like to do what I like to do with everybody. I kind of call it like a little mini self-audit. but it's almost like a little mini 360. So I'm going to ask you 3 questions, and don't do anything personal because you're in a group, so just kind of make them up.
Okay.
But the first question that I'm going to ask you is, what's one thing that you need to stop doing?
One thing I need to stop doing is going to Starbucks every morning and getting an expensive coffee.
Okay. I like that. That's a good one. Okay. What's something that you need to start doing?
I need to commit to exercising on a regular basis each week and stick to it.
Okay. Okay. I like that. And what are you doing that you think you should continue doing?
Even though I'm not flexible, I think I should keep doing yoga
Okay.
and meditation.
I love that because I'm a yoga freak. We're going to get along just great. Love it. Those are some really good things. So it's really good to take like a look at yourself, almost like a fearless look at yourself when you first start doing a mentoring practice to kind of see where you are in real time. So I think that's really helpful. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to, normally when we set up the practice the first time, if we're going to do a mentoring session, we set maybe 4 goals. But for the sake of time, why don't we set up 1 goal?
Okay.
So what would be 1 goal that we could work on together through mentoring?
Let's see. One thing I want to do is improve my public speaking ability and get more comfortable with that.
Okay. Improve public speaking ability. Excellent. And the one thing that I'm going to say is that you definitely need to work on accepting feedback.
Yes.
Okay. Feedback. Beautiful.
Which ties into the public speaking.
Ex-
to get
ex-
feedback
exactly,
afterwards.
exactly. So what we just did in 5 minutes is we were able to take what would be a normal conversation and add some structure around how to set up a mentoring relationship. It's really not that complicated. You basically ask some simple questions about what your expectations are of each other, one of the mentor and one of the mentee. You basically take your pulse. What am I doing right? What should I stop doing? And what should I start doing? Just simply seeing where you are in time. And then we want to be goal-oriented. So you start out with maybe 3 or 4 goals of things that you can work on so that you can really get something accomplished, which kind of goes back to what you were talking about, is how do I go and I ask a mentor? Well, if you go over to somebody and say, well, this is where I'm at in life and this is what I want to work on, you're really not asking too much. So again, coming into it, you might feel a little bit nervous, but I had asked you the question, so how do you feel walking away?
I feel a lot better. I feel
Good.
comfortable and that you really care.
Excellent. Well, thank you. That makes me feel really good. So excellent. Thank you. You were an excellent volunteer. You get a hug, so I'm a hugger.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you. So how am I on time?
5 minutes left.
Okay, so we talked about SMART goals. I'm going to go past this because you all have had that to death. What I'm going to leave you with is I gave you a couple of examples of different modules that you could work on with your mentees. And the 2 of them that I chose is networking with meaning, which I'll go over very quickly, and work-life balance. So with networking with meaning is that everybody goes out and they just network haphazardly. What I like to teach people to do and my mentees to do is to kind of set up a little mini network or network that works for you. And I tell people to put their network into categories and to set up a brand ambassador, which in a way are like your gladiators, which we talked to in the beginning. Your brand ambassadors are your sponsors. They're the people that are going to introduce you to people. They're the people that are going to make you look good. They're the people that are going to help elevate your career. So when you're going out and you're networking, you want to start to look for those people and fill out that card. If there's somebody that you come across that's willing to help you, add their name and keep that ready so when you go out, you'll be able to go to them. Keep their phone number, keep their email. The next one is find an accountability partner. I put my name there. You can find other accountability partners, add people to your personal board. Who are the people or the different groups of people that are going to be able to help you along in your career? Those could be your peer mentors. Then the last one, and this is really important, and this is where the fun comes in. These are your lifelines. These are the special people in my personal board that are the people that I laugh with, that I cry with, that I call when something good happens, that I call when something bad happens, or that when I call where I really, really, really want to get that bandage ripped off. Those are the people that are in my lifeline, and those are the people that will be part of your life forever. Find them, add them to that list, hold on to it dearly. Those are the in case of emergency break glass contacts. Keep them in your bag, keep them close by. The next module is the balancing act. I have gotten to the point in life that I know I am never going to have work-life balance. I am going to make work-life choices. So what I have come up with, I love math, I'm a goal geek, I'm a math geek. I have come up with a way to make my work-life balance a math equation. What I do is all week long, as my energy is depleted, I write it down and I give it a number of 1 through 5. At the end of the week, depending how I fan out, I am usually way at the bottom of the list. It is my responsibility to come up with those things on the weekend to refill my bucket. Think about them in advance. It could be a movie with a friend. It could be a yoga class. It could be spin. For me, I love cooking. I cook like crazy every Sunday. I invite people over. We make huge vats of pasta sauce. But to me, that balances my act. I read like it's going out of business. So I can be as stressed out as it is by the end of the week. But by the end of the day, I am going to make sure that I've balanced myself back out, because on Monday, I'm going to do it again. So I'm showing you what it looks like in the math equation. It is the coolest thing. It's so simple. I'm going to turn it into an app that's on my to-do list for the year. But the balancing act, there is no such thing as work-life balance, but there is a balancing act, and there are work-life choices. Try this out for a week. It's a really cool thing, and just keep doing it. So, my favorite mentoring tips in conclusion. Be authentic. Got to be authentic. We all have to show up as ourselves. Be authentic with your mentees. Be authentic in life. Be yourself. Be of service. We should always be of service, but when you're being a mentor, you are being of service. This is a great way to be of service. This is a great way to give back. Be consistent. Don't be half in and don't be half out. Don't show up sometimes, don't show up, not show up the other time. If you're going to do it, be consistent. Have a consistent message. Be a source. Look up things for your mentee. Look up articles, save articles. Be a source of information. Be a source of good spirit. But be a source for them. Be a well of positivity. Be there for them. Be the place that they go when they need good information. Be their source. Be trustworthy. I mean, I beat that one to death, but you have to be trustworthy. Be the person that they can rely on. Be honest. Give them honest feedback. Don't lie to them. You're not going to help them. You're not going to teach them if you are not honest. Be grateful. Be grateful that you have an opportunity to be a mentor. At the end of every day, we all have something to be grateful for. I always write down things that I'm grateful for. My mentees always make the list. I always get a phone call from some person during the day that something good happened. Be grateful that you have an opportunity, that you have knowledge, that you can bestow on somebody. This is a gift you have to give. Be grateful that you have this opportunity. Be accountable. Be accountable to your mentee. Make them accountable to you. Be structured. We talked about that. It's just not a conversation. I gave you guys tools to make it structured. Have some structure to it. Be there. Make yourself available. Be there, guys. Be there. Show up. Show up on time. Be one. And be one. I hope that everybody walks out of the room. I hope that you become a mentor. I hope that you get a mentor. I hope you mentor each other. I hope that you get something out of this. This is such a great thing to do. So I hope everybody walks out of here learning something. I hope you're excited about it. I hope you run out of here and go and find somebody to mentor. I'm being a little bit over-enthusiastic, but you know, hey, a girl can dream. What can I tell you? So anyway, in conclusion, I'm going to ask if anybody has any questions, comments, insights. Somebody had to have learned something. I'm going to start pulling you out of the audience.
I have a question.
Sure.
There's someone I've been wanting to ask to be my mentor, but he's very busy. Is meeting like once a month too infrequent to have an effective mentorship?
Absolutely not. It's absolutely fine. I have people on my personal board that I just call out of the blue. We're busy. We call each other on the fly. Absolutely. If you can glean something from them, no problem at all.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anybody else have a question? Not one question? Anybody have an insight? Anybody learn something? Sure.
So, mentor-mentee, I mean, do you find that you can be a good mentor or mentee when it's a direct report relationship?
Yes,
Okay.
I do. I do. I think I gave some visuals and I think I gave some tools so that you can detach and you can separate out and you can do it. There are some boundaries. And you have to be careful about what you're mentoring about. And you have to really, if you are the person who is the direct report, you have to set those boundaries. So you have to make sure, and we talked a little bit about being a complaint session. So you have to really say, hey, you overstepped. I can't have that information. So it really depends on what you're mentoring around. So it's really up to you to set the stage and to set the boundary.
Okay, thank you.
Does that answer the question well? Anybody else? Yes.
You talked a lot about trust, and I think what we didn't talk about was what happens if that trust is broken. So let's say you have a mentor or a coach or a sponsor, and that trust is broken. How do you have that conversation?
That goes back to the tough conversations, and that goes back to what I talked about it being reciprocal. This will be a lesson that the mentee will have to learn about having that crucial conversation. It is something that you will have to go and confront immediately, and you will have to choose one of those tough conversations. You will either have to have I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you're going to rip off the Band-Aid because in that situation it's appropriate. You might have to do the positive negative. You might have to say to them, you know what, I have really appreciated all of the time and advice that you have given me over the years, but you have earned a sacred trust with me, and I am not able to move on from here. Or you might have to do a sandwich, but you have to have that conversation, because that's one of those instances that the conversation that you don't have will damage you, but it'll damage them, because they might go out and hurt somebody else, or they might go out because they hurt you, and you have to end that relationship. Because it's like I said, you won't be able to trust them again. So, does that answer your question? Yeah. Has that happened? That's tough. I'm not going to make you answer that question. Yeah, that was really tough for you to ask me that, so bravo. Cool. Excellent. Anyone else?
Have you ever been
Yes.
And did you use any of these steps? Were they successful? I would love to be mentoring children.
Okay, I actually volunteer at safe houses. I do it often, and I change what I do. What I do is, I'm not going to say that I work with cartoon characters a little bit, and I kind of change my wording and the way I do it, but I do it often because whatever level that you need to get to, you have to kind of get down to that level. It's really important when you do that you just find a way to connect. So the information is important and the building trust is important. With young children, building trust is probably the most important thing to do. So cartoon characters work, coloring works, participation works. So a lot of times what I'll do is, I won't necessarily use a PowerPoint. A lot of times I'll use a flip chart. So like I'll do something with inner critics, and I'll actually have them come up and draw what their inner critic would look like and what their inner critic would say. And I'll actually draw a picture of my inner critic. So like when they come in, I'm sitting next to my inner critic, which is kind of fun. You know, so that's the answer to the question. So yes, you can impart this kind of information. They need mentors more than anybody, and they need that information on their level. So I can talk to you more about that if you want to call me, but if you're going to volunteer your time, I'm going to help you because they need it. Yeah, cool, awesome. Yeah. Anyone else? No?
Adding to the children's, like, volunteer with children a lot too, showing up.
Oh, you got to show up.
And if you don't,
Uh-huh.
you need to tell them or be honest, or if you know you're not going to be able to come when you're scheduled,
Right.
being open and honest and saying, hey, I can't.
Right.
Show up, and it's not like anything that you guys did or something, but just making
Right.
sure you show up or
Right.
being open that you can't come, because
Right.
there's been times where, like, I haven't, why didn't you come? And they're
Right. Right.
so distraught.
Right. No, but it's a big thing because, you know, it's interesting. I'm starting to work in a couple of new houses now, and the woman had this whole conversation with me about, you know, they might not be able to connect with you. It's like if you can connect with one person, then you connect with one person. It's worth showing up to do that. But it's important that you are consistent, and we talked about the consistency, and it's important that the message is the right message, and it's important that if you don't show up, that they know about it, and I agree with you 100%. So if you make the commitment, and I talked about this a lot, make the commitment, you're in for a penny, you're in for a pound. You know, yes, thank you, that was important.
I just wanted to say thank you. We're a little over.
Oh,
and I
I'm
know
done.
Some folks have a meeting, but I just wanted to, a couple of thank yous. Thank you to Joan first. This was amazing.
Thank you.
We appreciate
Thank
it.
you.